Today we're looking at this stainless steel free function power clamp drum handler. It's an ATEX model, so it's air powered, and we have our air line connected to the left hand side of the control box. We can also connect the air into the right side if needed. This can handle steel, plastic and fibreboard drums. At the moment we've got this open top Mauser drum which is going to tip into the vessel. So first of all we push the unit forward, bring the pads around the drum, and we just want to check that the pads are nice and central in the middle of the drum. We then press our clamp button to clamp the arms around the drum, and we monitor the pressure on a clamp pressure gauge on the rear panel. Because the plastic drum will deform slightly. With steel drums they're much harder, so they won't deform quite as much. We then lift the drum up. Move the unit forward towards our vessel, and then begin to rotate. We're now ready to go get another drum. Here we have an L-ring plastic drum. Now what's unique about this drum type is the wall of the drum is very thin and the plastic is quite slippery, particularly when it's wet or oily or contaminated. So our normal clamp pads can still clamp these drums and lift them, but for extra security we add on these front gates and these top support arms. What this means is should the drum slide or slip at all in the pads, they'll be captured by these top support arms, much like our rim clamp on our other model. And again, when it's in the horizontal, with a tap, what happens is as you clamp the drum and open the tap, some of the air escapes from the drum. So say we're decanting into here and the drum's horizontal, these front gates are there to support the base of the drum and make it extra secure. Because of these attachments, we need to come over the top of the drum. So we bring the unit forward and lower down over the top. We'll show you that now. So we push the unit forwards, bring it forward like that, lower it down, going forward a little bit more, about that, okay. We bring it down, we want the pads again to be in the centre, lined up with the centre line of the drum. We can just check coming forward, make sure we're nice and central, that looks good. So we can clamp up. Now on this model, we have a clamp pressure gauge and it's got a yellow and a green segment. When we have a soft plastic drum or a fibreboard drum, the yellow segment is just about enough pressure to hold the drum snug and secure, but not over clamping it, because we don't want to deform the drum or crush it completely. With steel drums, they're much more robust and you can clamp it up into the green at higher pressure without deforming the drum substantially. So now we're going to lift it up. Bring it forwards towards the vessel and begin to rotate. So now we're over the vessel, I'm going to come forward and open our tap. Once we've decanted enough product, we can come forward again. Close our tap. Bring the unit back away from the vessel. And lower it down. As mentioned with these attachments, they're only required for L-ring plastic drums. These can be removed for other drums, so we can remove them and then use it with just the gripping pads for your steel drums and your Mausers and others as required. So we've got one of our top arms in. I'm going to show you how to fit the other ones. We have these holes down the box section and a pin. We lift it into position. Lower it down, we're height adjustable, so if we've got short drums we can set it in a lower position. We then put our pin in place and fold it over. Then take our second pin, again put it through the hole, line the holes up and fold it over into place. We then have our front doors we need to fit, so I'll put this right one on first to show you. These have got two holes which line up with two pins at the back, so we lift it over and lift it into place. We then have two R clips, so we slot them into place, one at the bottom and one at the top. And same again on this side, lift it into place and take our R clips, one at the top, one at the bottom. So then we've now converted this unit ready to handle the L-ring plastic drums. But as said before, if we want to handle steel drums or other types, we can remove these and we don't need to use this type of attachment. This attachment is called the INS02 from our product codes. We'll now show this steel 205 litre drum. So again, move the unit forward. Make sure our pads are nice and central with the drum, so we check that every time. We then clamp the drum up. Pressure gauge on the rear panels in the green section, so we know we're safe to lift. Move the unit forward just to get towards our vessel and then tip it forward. So once we're lined up, can come forward and open our valve. While we're tipping, it's important we continue to monitor the clamp pressure gauge to make sure the drum's being squeezed all the time. These units have a constant tension system, so the unit's constantly pushing on the drum and constantly compressing it for added safety. If you're measuring out a particular amount of material, we can also fit these units with a weighing display, even for ATEX areas. So we can have a display on the side of the unit showing you the weight of the drum and the contents, and then as you're decanting, you can be looking at the display and stop the decanting as soon as you've reached the desired weight or the desired quantity for your process. So if we're happy, we're still in the green zone on the pressure gauge. I'm going to come forward, close our valve. We'll then return it back to the upright. We'll bring it down. Then unclamp using two hands on the controls. Once the pressure gauge reads 0, we can move the unit away, and we're ready to go get another drum. We're now looking at the rear control panel. First of all, we need to connect our air line into the left side of the control box to provide the air for the pneumatic system. As far as buttons go, we have our lift and lower buttons here. So we press lift, and we can press lower. We then have our tip and return control. So again, tip forward or return to vertical. Here we have our clamp controls. Our clamp button is in the centre, so we need one hand to press clamp to clamp the drum. As we're clamping, we need to look at our pressure gauge in the centre of the box, which tells us our clamp pressure. The yellow section is for soft drums, such as plastic and fibreboard drums, and the green section is for steel drums, and we can clamp these at a higher pressure because they're a stronger drum and more durable. It's important the operator monitors the clamp pressure gauge while handling their drums to ensure that the drum is clamped in the correct zone, and if needed, they can top up the clamp pressure with the button on the panel. So we'll clamp up now to demonstrate this. So we're now clamped in the green zone. It's perfectly normal for the gauge to settle down slightly as the temperature in the pneumatic system cools down. So you can see we're stable in the green section, but if needed at any time, we can press clamp again to top up the pressure. To unclamp a drum, we need to use two hands and press both unclamp buttons at the same time. This is a safety feature to prevent accidental unclamping of the drum. So to unclamp, we get two hands and press unclamp at the same time. It's important we hold unclamp until the gauge reaches 0, and that means that there's no pressure in the clamping system. We then have an emergency stop button. To use this, we press it down, and this cuts all functions and all power to the unit. To reset it, we twist it clockwise.